Welcome to Pottery Plus. I'm working with wax resist today. Let me show you what I'm doing. So I made a set of 3 mushroom trays. Apologies that this one is upside down, but that was just how I felt most comfortable working on it. But with a shape and a design like this, something that can get kind of tedious is painting on all the coatings of glaze that you need and painting around, like for this example, I'm having to paint around my polka dots and around the edge of my mushroom 3 times to get those 3 coatings of glaze. So what the wax resist is going to do is it's going to create a barrier in between where 2 colors of glaze are meeting up. And so instead of like freehanding those borders and having to paint them perfect so that the glazes don't overlap, it's going to help me just to be able to quickly fill in some different areas of my design and just, yeah, speed it up a little bit. So here I am just finishing the stem. You can see this design just kind of takes a long time to paint. Here's my wax. I use Laguna that I order from Kentucky Mudworks. And I'm just going to come in and start painting around the edges of the areas that I want to put a white glaze. So what you see on the top of the mushroom here is a red glaze, and then obviously the stem on the bottom is kind of a grayish brown. And everywhere else on this design I want to be white. So, but I don't want my white glaze overlapping with, or kind of, making these borders between the polka dots and the edge of the mushroom look messy. So if I paint it with wax resist, that helps me, because instead of having to like perfectly freehand paint the white glaze everywhere that I want it to be, I can make a barrier of wax that will be there, that will just sort of hold the white glaze where it belongs. And yeah, and I only have to paint the wax on once, as opposed to like having to perfectly paint those polka dots 3 times. I can just sort of whip through it by just putting down 1 layer of wax. I hope that makes sense, you guys. I feel like sometimes if you haven't worked with wax, it's like, what? I don't understand that. That's how I felt about it at first, especially cold wax. I was used to seeing the wax that's like heated in a tray or whatever. Anyway, sorry, getting off track. So I'm just finishing up adding the wax. And you'll see here a little bit later in the video, like how the wax helps me. Like I tried to get some really good close-up footage of that. So hopefully that will, if it's not making sense, hopefully it will here in just a minute. So here it is, all of my borders painted with wax. Now I just have to wait 24 hours before I start applying that white glaze that I was talking about, and we're ready to go. So this is kind of where the magic happens. So you can see, and I know this was not the greatest idea to demonstrate with a white glaze on white clay, but I think you can still see well enough. I'm able to quickly paint around these areas because I don't have to worry about like essentially getting out of the lines, because the wax is there stopping the white glaze from going outside of the polka dots and the border. Now, if you get little spots that like stick on the wax, you can just dab those with a little sponge. I had to do that a little bit here, but it won't hurt anything. You just kind of wipe it off. But if your glaze is sticking too much, like if the wax is not resisting the glaze, give it a little bit more time and maybe like another half day, and the wax should work better. There is a window of time where it works. Like if you do it too soon or too quickly, the wax doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So here's just a bit of close-up footage so you can really see the wax holding the glaze in place where it belongs. So I tried to get some good close-up footage of this. So hopefully this, demonstrates it a little bit better. But yeah, I can just kind of push my brush up against that edge, and the wax is not gonna let the white glaze overlap onto the red. So here's the set before firing, all ready to go with the 3 different colors, and here's how they turned out. I'm really happy with them, and you can see that that wax really did help me to get crisp edges around my design, my polka dots, and the edge of my mushrooms. And here they are stacked up. Thanks for joining us for the vid. See you next time. Let me know if you have questions. Bye-bye.